So today we are going to discuss about public and private inheritance. Uh, so am I audible to all of you? Fine. So we'll continue from a point. So before this, what we have discussed the importance of inheritance. What is inheritance? Why we need inheritance and how to use inheritance. Then we also talked about two different parts. That's a operator, there's a function overloading and function overriding. So what is overloading? Overloading a function means a function in a scope such that its signature is different. Name is same, but number of parameters, uh, then their type, these may be different. So based on these difference, we have a different signature. But in case of overriding, a member function is defined in a base class. You redefine in a drive class. So we have a two definition, one definition in a base class, another definition in a drive class. So this case is known as overriding. So today we are going to discuss about the public and private inheritance. So what is this public and private inheritance? Means how to drive a class from a base class. C++ provides a wealth of ways to fine tune access to class member. So initially we have seen data hiding. Now when we driving it, we're declaring it either public, private or protected. In general, we use public and private. Protected is, I haven't seen any example right now when we are going to use as a protected, but protected is also a possibility. One such access control mechanism is a way drive classes are declared. So means first one you have seen data hiding, that is within a class. Next is that drive classes are declared. Means how we are going to declare our drive class. Our examples so far have used publicly drive classes with declaration something like this: class manager, you have a colon, then public employee. Means manager class is basically derived from an employee publicly. Means this derivation is a public. So what does the public here mean, and what is the significance of public here? Instead of public, can we use private? Can we use protected? Yes, we can have. We are having alternatives. We can use public, private, even protected. So what is the effect of a public keyword in this statement, and what are the alternatives we are going to discuss today? So the keyword public specifies that object of the drive class are able to access public member function of a base class. So what does mean? You are now creating a new class, that is a drive class. So drive class inherits base class. All the content of base class are in a drive class. Means if a member is public, it remains public there. If it is private, it's private in a base class. If it is protected, it's protected in a base class. You may add few member functions or data member in your drive class. Now when you create an object of a drive class, then this object can invoke public function of a drive class, also the public function of a base class. So here the base class has the power to access public member of a base class. Sorry, the object of a drive class have a power to access member function of a public member function of a base class. Now Another alternative is keyword private. Keyword private, now I am restricting the object of a base class from accessing public member of a base class. So object of a derived class cannot access a public member of a base class if we are driving it privately. So when this keyword is used, objects of the derived class cannot access public member functions of the base class. So here we are restricting it to a uh, only public member function of derived class. Object of a derived class now can only access public member function of base class. If we use a public, then the object of derived class can access public member of base class and public member of a derived class. If it is private, it can only access public member of a derived class. Since object can never access private or protected member of a class, look at this one. What we are saying, we are creating a class. Class is a blueprint. Object is an entity. That is a runtime entity. So there is a difference. Member function of a class can access a private member of a class, but object cannot access a private member of a class. So there are two different things. I have a class, I have an object. Object can be used to invoke public member functions of a class, but if a public member function is invoked, it can access a private member of a class. So this thing, keep this in mind, because next point we are going to discuss what are the meaning of access by a functions within a class. Since object can never access private or protected member of a class, the result is that no member of the base class is accessible to object of the derived class. Now, next is how we can say that. Let's take some of it. When you access as a private, what we do, how member of a base class appear in a derived class. So here we are talking about the class. So private members of base class are inaccessible to derived class. So derived class is not able to access private member of a base class. Protected members of base class become private members of a derived class. So if a member is protected in a base class, it will become a private member of a derived class. Next is, if public member of a base class become private member of a derived class. So public member of the base class become private member of the derived class. So here what we are doing, by using access specifier private, I am converting protected to a private, and public members are also becoming private. So both of them are becoming private in case of a base access specification is private. Let's try to see what's the meaning in terms of a class. So suppose I just say I have a class A. It consists of private, protected, and public functions. So if you have a private, I have an integer private data A, protected data A, and the public data A. So this is my class. Now I try to inherit this class in B using public access specifier. So here I am using public access specifier. So here, in other words, private will remain private, protected will remain protected, and public will remain public. So let's take for our definition in a class B. So public, I derive a function, that is the function T. In this, I define an integer A. Now look at this one. I try to access private data of a base class A. So private data is not accessible from a class. I'm not talking about object. Keep in mind, right now I am talking about class definition, not about the object. Object is something different. Class definition is a blueprint. I'm talking about access specification of a that's a derived class. So here B is derived publicly from A, but if it is a private data, B cannot access a private data of A. For accessing a private data of A, you must use some public functions of A to check the value of a private data of A. So I cannot access this directly. Next, A is equals to that's a protected data A. Now here it's a protected. So protected data is basically private in most of the cases, but in case of a derivation, it's like a visibility in a derived class. So the protected data is visible. I have A assigning a value of a protected data A, and this access is okay. Now next is public data. So you have a public data, so you can always access the public data, so there is no problem. So here look at this. If you have a public base access specification, then you can access protected and public data, but you cannot access a private data from a class. For an object, you can only access public data of a base class and a public data of that is a class A, class B, and class A. Now, if instead of public, we try to make it a private. If you make it a private, what will happen? So if you make a private, look at this one. Class is derived privately from a class A. Now, if you say, can I access the private data? The answer is no, you cannot access the private data. Can I access the protected data? Yes, you can access the protected data. Can I access the public data? Yes, we can access the public data. So, is there any difference from a public A or a private A? In terms of a class functions, there is no difference in a derivation, either it's a private or public for a class, but there is a difference for an object. Object now in this case cannot access a private members of a class B, that is a base class, base class A. It can access a only public members of a class B, but it will not be able to access public member of a class A, which is the base class of a class B. So that's a minor difference between a public and private data. So let's take example here. Now for this, you have an integer A. Let's take object B. So we create an object of class B. So object B tried to access private data. Answer is error, because you cannot access the private data of a class. Now this is derived publicly. So B is derived. I think I should make it as a C. So just for a time being, assume C is a derived, B is derived publicly, C is derived privately. So let's take A, object B, private data. So object cannot access a private data, object cannot access a protected data, and object can access a public data of A. Now, if it is a private access, then object cannot access a private data of A, object cannot access a protected data of A, and object cannot access public data of A. So look at this here. When we try to access through a object B, which is publicly derived from A, then I can only access the public data of A. But if it is privately derived, I even cannot access that's the public data of A. So if we try to summarize using this figure, let's try to see. So you have a class. So I have a class A, consists of private, protected, and public member function and data. Now what we do, we can create an object of A. If we create an object of A, it can only access public member functions of A or a public data. Now I am using class B, which is publicly derived from A. Class B also has a have a private, protected, and public member functions or a member data. Now if you create an object of a class B, which is publicly accessible. From this object, I can access only public members of derived class and public member of a base class. So I can access both of them if the derivation is public. Now, what about the member functions of a class? So this is the definition of a class. So what about member functions? Member function can access public and protected data of a class A, but cannot private data of a class A. So here member functions can access public and protected data. Object can only access public data. Member function can access public and protected data of a class A. Now, instead of public, if you have a private, what's the meaning of the private? Now I can create an object of a class C which can access a public member of a class C, but it cannot access public member of a class A because the derivation here is privately using base A. So because of this, I cannot access it. Look at that member functions. Member functions are having exactly the same power. Either we use public or private. Got the point? So here the difference lies with the object, not with the member function. Member function can access public and protected data, but object can only access public data if it is publicly derived, and it cannot access public data of a class A if it is privately derived. So that's a minor difference between a public and a private. Now, next is a protected. So this is something that is rarely used. I haven't seen any example when case protected data is used, but just for a sake of completing that topic, we just say, let's take what is a protected. So come back to this one. You have a public, you have a private. Protected is something in between. So if you say about function is class is derived protectedly, so here I can access public data of class B, but I cannot access a protected data of a class B. So this data public will become protected. So protected for object, and object cannot access. So in terms of access, it's more or less similar to a private. So when we're talking about, so it will be something like a private. So private member of a base class are inaccessible. Protected members of a base class become a protected member that is already there. But here the public members of the base class become a protected member of a derived class. So that's a only change here. So object of a derived class cannot access public members of a base class because that public member will now be as a protected member for a derived class. So what's an difference here? The difference in a one level of derivation. If you now derive again, so this will public data will become a private in a next level of derivation. So in terms of a access specification, there is no difference between a private and a protected. Now, next topic that we are going to discuss about a inheritance. So basically, there are three types of inheritance in C++. So what are they? Simple inheritance. A base class drives one or many derived classes. So there is a single base class used for driving another class. Now next is the multi-level inheritance. Multi-level means a derived class can serve as a base class for next level of inheritance. So we have a grandparent, parent, grandchild relationship. In the first case, I have a parent and child relationship. Next is a multiple inheritance, means there are more than one base class to drive one or many drive classes. So here I am saying we are using two base classes for a derivation of a single drive class. So in that case, it will be a multiple inheritance. Now just quickly try to see what is a simple inheritance. So for a simple inheritance, let's take this is my base class. So let's take this is my base class, this class is drive 1. Let's take, this is my drive 1. So drive 1 is simply derived from a base class. So only parent is base and only child is a drive in this case. So this is our drive class. Now here base, here this is like D2. So D2 again is derived from a base class. So it's having a single parent. So here I am saying it's again a simple inheritance. Third, let's take, this is my D3 drive class. Again it is derived from a same base. So again it's only a having single parent. So I'm going to say this is my simple case of a simple inheritance. D3 is derived from base B. So the inheritance example that we have discussed till now were basically simple inheritance example. The next is next type of inheritance is multi-level. Now, how we can visualize a multi-level? Suppose I have a class line. Using class line, you try to draw a rectangle. So one level of inheritance. Now this is your base class. This is your drive class. So you drive a rectangle from a line. Now this rectangle is now serve as a base class for a cuboid. So what is there? This is my cuboid, and now cuboid is derived from a rectangle. So here I am using derived from a rectangle. So this is, let's take assume D1. So it's the second level, D11. So we are going one level down. So more specialization. So means cuboid is a special case of a line. Right? So here I can say that rectangle is a special case of a line. Cuboid is again a very, very special case of a line. Indirectly, cuboid is derived from a rectangle. So different rectangles are required for generating a cuboid. So here we can say if we have a drive class that act as a base class for next level of derivation, then you have a multiple inheritance. Now, how to write multiple inheritance in our program? So suppose I have a class A, I drive class B publicly from a class A, then I use a class B to drive class C. So from A to B and then from B to C. So this is a multiple level inheritance. I use a subsequent base class, subsequent class A to drive a base class B, which acts as a base class for C. So this way we are able to use it's a multiple level. It's a not multiple. It's a multi-level inheritance. So make a correction here. This is not multiple inheritance. It's a multi-level.
Sir, in this multi-level inheritance, the protected member of class A, will it be accessible by class C?
Protected member of class A will only be accessible to class B. And if you drive class C, the protected member of A will not be visible. It will act as a private. So protected member is just for single level of derivation. After single level of derivation, it will become as a private member.
Thank you.
So let's take a multiple inheritance. Suppose I have a class circle and a class rectangle. So I can use these two class to draw a new figure, that is a rectangle containing a circle. So here for this I need two different classes. So here instead of single parent I have two parents. So here this is a case of a multiple inheritance. My drive class is based on two parent classes, that is circle and rectangle. So this is another example. I have a rectangle, over it I have a circle. So again it's derived from a circle and rectangle. So that's again a two parents. So I say this is again a case of multiple inheritance. So how to write a multiple inheritance? Again it's simple. I have a class A, I have a class B. So two classes, class A and class B, now used for driving class C. So definition, this much you know it. So class C, publicly derived class A, just put a semicolon and you can put a public class B. Now, can we use more than two? Yes, we can use more than two parents. Uh, Next question is how many levels of inheritance? So there is no restriction on the number of level of inheritance, but in most cases, maximum level of multiple inheritance is found to be only 7. So now we're going to take a example of a multiple inheritance. Now let's see two different classes, employee and student. Now let's employee is the class, student is the class. So employee must be having certain own data, a class student must be having certain data. Now we are constructing a class manager. Managers now having a two base class. One is employee, another is student. So it's driving from a employee and a student class. So it will contain both employee data and a student data. Now the question is that why the manager requires both employee and student data? Because manager is a special employee. It's a higher level employee, but it's an employee. So manager is an employee. So for a manager, you must have studied from some college. So you may require a name of a college. You may require a name of a degree. So these data may be available in a student. So I am creating a manager that is based from a employee and from a student. Similarly, when we're talking about the scientist of a company is also an employee. So it is having a base class that is employee. For to be a scientist, you need a PhD degree, you need a higher qualification. So you must be a student from somewhere. So I may be requiring your student data plus some data that is specific for scientists, means number of publication, how many awards. Similarly, for a manager, what is his post, designation of his post. Next, what are his hobbies. So all these things may be part of a manager. The next is laborer. Laborer is again an employee, but we are not interested in his degree. So it's a single level of inheritance. Now, next question is that it should be publicly derived or it should be a privately derived. So when we are going to discuss the problem, then it will become obvious what should be the derivation from a base. Either it should be public or a private. So we'll try to see. So here I have a class student, I have a class employee. When we're talking about the class manager, manager is privately derived from employee and privately from student. Similarly, when we're talking about the scientist, again a private from an employee and the private from a student. Now, when we say a private for employee and private for student, what's the meaning here? Object of this class cannot access public member of employee and a public member of student. So we are putting a restriction on the object of manager that you cannot access public member of employee and a public member of that's a student. Similarly, for a scientist, we are putting a restriction. It cannot access public member of employee and a public member of student. But for a class labor, I am allowing to access public member of an employee. Now, question is that why public and why private? This will be obvious when we see a code of your this manager and a scientist class. So let's take how to write this program. So you have a IO stream, namespace std, then you're defining a length 80. You have a class student. In case of a student, you have a school, that is a name of a school. Then you have a name of a degree. Then you have a public, get education. Then you have a enter the name of a school or a university. Then you enter the value in a scene. Then you have a then you have a degree, then bachelor degree. Then you have a put education. So this is for get education is for getting the value of a that's a school and a degree. and put education is for a printing the value of a school or university or degree, or that is highest degree. And so these are the member functions of a student. But now these member functions will not be accessible to manager and scientists. Why? Because they have a private derivation. Now next you have a class employee. In case of employee, you have a name of employee, you have integer long, that is for ID of employee. Then you have a get data, yeah, getting information from a user. Then you have a put data function, putting the value or printing the value of a employee to the user. So we are having two different functions, public functions, but these functions are not accessible to the object of a manager and scientist. Now let's say what is a manager. Manager, we have a private derivation from employee and a private derivation from student. Now in this case, adding a field character title. Title means I want to put a vice president, branch manager, something like this. So we put answer something like this. This is a title there. Then you have some more fields, that is double dues. So he may be playing goal clubs, the dues associated with the goal clubs. So here you have a new function get data. Previously, in case of a employee, this is the get data function, and you are using get data function here. So this is overriding. A function defined in employee is now defined in manager. So you say this is basically a case of function overriding. So you have in this function overriding, you are now accessing a public function of employee. This function is not accessible through object, but it's accessible through a member function of a class. So I am using this. So here first what we are doing, I am creating a data associated with employee, and then I am adding data associated with a manager. So in case employee title, so employee name and employee ID will be entered here. Later on, title and goals dues are initialized, and later on, look at this one, student get education. So you are updating the value of a degree or a name of a college or university. So we are using two member functions of a parent class, one employee, another from a student. So we are basically accessing this value from a member function, not from an object. So similarly, for a put data, you are putting a value of an employee, then you are putting the title associated with a manager, and then you're putting a data associated with a student. So this way you will be explicitly calling student function, explicitly calling employee function. Because when you say put data, the put data is function is in a manager class, so this will be a local function. But here a qualified name, so it's a function from a employee class. Similarly, for a scientist, you have a number of publications that you go and add it. Again, you have a get data method overriding. Overriding in this case, I am employing, that's a data of employee. Then you have a enter number of publications, then see in publication, and then you have a student data. So you are putting a data here, then you are printing a data here. And then you have a class, a laborer, public employee. So in this case, I am not defining any member function. If you are not defining any member function, then I need to access a member function of an employee. So that is why public is the requirement here. Fine. Here, object is not going to use any member function of employee or any member function of a private or of a student. That is why we are putting a private here. So object will be using member function associated with employee of a labor, but object of a scientist will not be invoking member function of an employee or a student, because we have a get data function that will read the student data and employee data using a function call. right? So let's take an example here. So you have an integer main that create a manager M1. Then you create two scientists S1, S2. Then you have a laborer L1. Now enter data for manager. So when you write this statement, what you are doing? You are calling get data function of a manager, because manager can only access public member function of a its own class. It cannot access a public member function of a base class. So it can access this one. Now when it is accessed, a call is made to employee to enter employee data. Then the information related to managers are provided, and later on the information related to student are entered by a user. So here I am using a get data function of a manager class. Now similarly, this is a get data function for a scientist class. Overridden function, overridden in a drive class, because it's defined in a base class. And here I am entering this value. So I will be calling within this function, I will be calling employee data, then entering a scientist data, and then the educational data of a scientist. So this way we will be updating the value here. Similarly, we can have a scientist S2, then you have a labor L1 get data. So this get data is coming from employee. Why employee? Because there is no member function get data in a labor class, and labor class access base class publicly. So the labor class can access a public data of a base class. So when you write this function, compiler check with L1, this function is not L1, then it will check it with a base class of L1, and it finds that this employee have a get data function. So it will use the employee get data function to get the value of a laborer. Similarly, you have a put data, it's put data of a labor there, a manager there, put data of a scientist, put data of a scientist, put data of employee. So it's using for labor, but it's a put data of employee. So we will be putting a data of a employee here. So two different points are there. A function overriding in a derivation and access specification. So what the compiler first do, first compiler check it out, the member function is a part of a class or not. If a member function is a part of a class, it will access a class member function. If it is not a member function of a class, then it will access it from its immediate parent. If it finds there, it's okay. Otherwise, it's moved to its further uh, parent one level away, and this way it will check up to the first parent of a class. But if access specification is private, then it will only check with a base drive class, but it will not going to check it with a base class. Fine. So have you understand about this much? So last thing that we have to go and discuss is about the ambiguity in multiple inheritance. So before discussing, let's take an example here. So before this, just take we have a class A public, class A, then we have a public show, class B, then we have a public show. Now we have a class C with a public A and public B. So what is the meaning of a class C? So class C will be having all the member function of class A and all the member function of class B. Is true or not? So it will be having both the member functions of our class A and class B. Now the name of a function is same, show and show here. So class C will be having two copy of show, one coming from a class A and one coming from a class B. Now suppose you write a C object C1, and then you use C1 dot show. then what will happen? So if you see, it means you have a show here in class A, you have a show in a class B. So in a class C, you have a two copy of show. One is coming from a class A, another is coming from a class B. Now, if I write this statement, then what will happen? Yes, anybody?
Sir,
No.
an error maybe?
Yeah. Yes, yes. Please repeat.
So maybe an error.
Maybe an error. Yes, it is going to be an error. Why it is error? Because this call is ambiguous. Whenever anything is ambiguous, ambiguous means when there is a two different possibility. So thing is ambiguous. So whenever anything is ambiguous, compiler is always going to give you an error. Call to A or call to B, but it cannot be an ambiguous call. So this is going to be an error here. Now that's let's take what does this ambiguity mean. So ambiguity in multiple inheritance, all sorts of problem may surface in certain situation involving multiple inheritance that we have discussed here. So here is a common one. Two base classes have function with the same name, while a derived class from both the base classes have no function with this name. Suppose a derived class also have a function show, then what will happen? The compiler will call a function show of a derived class. No problem with that statement. So how do objects of the derived class access the current base class function? So means this is a question that we have to answer. The name of a function alone is insufficient. So means name of a function alone is insufficient, because from this I cannot make it out either it's coming from A or it's coming from a B, since the compiler can't figure out which of the two function is met. So what we can do in this case, I may write someplace in this case I may write C1, or in this case C1 dot, I need a show of A scope resolution, then show. So if I use this statement, so what I am doing, I am calling a function show of A. Now this is now unambiguous call. So I will be compiler will be able to match it with a call to A, and now this is a correct. So means if there is a problem arise, I have a scope resolution operator to give the name of a function along with a class. So I need a fully qualified name of a function for in case of a multiple inheritance. So there is another problem with a multiple inheritance, and we will be discussing that problem when we'll be talking about the virtual functions. Fine. So that is known as diamond inheritance. So we will discuss about the problem of diamond inheritance when we'll be discussing about the that virtual functions there. So is there any doubt till now? So any doubt? Okay, fine. Thank you. So we'll continue with the next topic. I think we will discuss start with a introduction to pointer, because in case of a dynamic binding, I will be using pointers because dynamic binding is done through our pointers only. Okay, thank you.